Welcome to Slow and Steady, the podcast where you get to follow along as we build products in public. Each episode gives you an honest peek into our lives as we share our struggles, our wins, and everything in between. I'm Benedikt and I'm feeling motivated today.
And I'm Benedicte. Today is April 15th. This is episode number 241 and I am feeling relaxed.
Oh, that's good. That means the mini vacation is working.
I mean, it turned out, I was like, oh, it's going to be a workation. We're just going to do vacation for the Easter days and then I'm going to be working. Yeah, no, that did not happen.
Oh, it turned into an actual vacation, not just a mini vacation thingy?
It is
that's good.
Lovely. Yes, we've been walking on the beach. We've been to the pool. I've read lots of books. We spent lots of time as a family. We went to the aqua show, water park. And we've been go-karting, or I didn't go-kart, but Lillian got to go-kart and she loved it. And she was like, can I compete in this? I'm like, I don't think we have the finances for you to go into motorsports. But
like the finances and the travel budget, I guess, right?
Because I was like, okay, let's do like more than one. We did it 2 days because I was like, okay, this we can afford it here. We cannot afford it in Oslo. But now she was like, well, I want to compete. Like, well, then you have to come up with a sponsor plan and a business idea because
get them started early.
Because this stuff's expensive. But lots and lots of fun and lots and lots of relaxation. And I have another 2 days here all by myself. So after this show, everybody's going to be super jealous. I'm just going to go for a long walk on the beach and then have a drink and look at the beach and the ocean, maybe read a book and then walk back.
How about you suggest that Lillian talks to the CEO of We about a sponsorship, and then she can just go go-karting and be like, "Wee" all the time.
That is good because I had to Google it, and there is a go-kart thing in Oslo, and they do electric.
Right,
cars.
I was about to ask. Yeah, like I feel like electric go-karts is the way to go, especially in Oslo these days, right?
Yes. So yeah, maybe we'll see. Maybe that's a good idea. I'm gonna tell her about your idea. But so all of this,
fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. This episode is going to be about you, Benedikt. I'm probably going to be able to say some things because I do, but you're motivated. That makes me happy for you.
Yeah, I am. We shipped the serializer implementation that I've been talking about for the, I don't know, past 3, 4, 5 episodes. I don't know. It took some more polishing and we rolled it out yesterday. I want to say it was a smooth ride, but that's not quite true. I actually managed to bring down production for like 10 minutes or so because of that update. Because even though I did all of the testing and everything, turns out there was one issue that would only show up in production because of the way our Rails application eager loads dependencies and stuff like that. And in that particular combination, I had some test helpers built for this so we can like have some easier testing. And unfortunately, the eager loading meant that the test helpers would be loaded in the production deploy, but in the production deploy, the test framework isn't loaded. So it broke. And I'm like, well, crap. What's going on now? Luckily, it was an easy fix, and I feel like 10 minutes or so after everything was up and running smoothly again. And I keep thinking about like, what could have we done to prevent this? And the only feasible thing I come up with is like having a dedicated staging server because we don't have one at the moment. But then again, I already know that no one will use the staging server. So I don't know. Maybe I should figure out a way to.
How much downtime time have you had other than these 10 minutes in the last year?
I don't not much. Like in the grand scheme of things, I feel like the 10 minutes, yes, it sucks, but it's also not the end of the world. And I think we're still pretty reliable in terms of uptime. But still, like a part of me wants to figure out a solution to prevent stuff like this happening in the future. And one thing I'm currently considering is just having a step in our CI server that just boots the application in production mode or something like that to see if it comes up or not. I don't know. Not sure if that helps. But yeah.
Did you see Matthias Hansen's post on LinkedIn? Because he wrote about small team SaaSes holding themselves to too high of a standard when it comes to Uptown, because like GitHub and Claude and Cloudflare, like these things go down all the freaking time. Lately. And then every fall we all go down because of AW East 1 or whatever. So it's good to have high standards, and I know that you have and Userlist has. But like having one of these happen a year, which is basically what you're saying, it's fine. It's fine.
It's probably fine, but still, like I feel like making a mistake and not learning from the mistake is not good. Like I feel like making a mistake once and then learning from it and figuring out ways to improve it or like not have it happen again is probably the right approach. But with this one, I feel like it's not super obvious. Because like most of the stuff I can come up with is like just not a replacement for a production deploy, right? Like there might be other stuff that's only specific to that environment, and I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm overthinking this, but overall, so that was the initial big problem, but easy to fix. And then I think we had I think it was just two smaller issues that just slipped through. And it was mostly because our new implementation is a little bit stricter and tighter around like what inputs it allows when you save stuff to the server. So the previous implementation was basically whatever. I just like check the top level, and if you're allowed to save that attribute, that's fine. And with the new implementation, you still have to specify what is allowed within a top level attribute. And apparently, I missed two places where I was not actually whitelisting, or not supposed to say whitelisting anymore. Allow listing a couple of values. So yeah, once I found those two, I think no one else complained about anything. So fingers crossed. Overall, I'm super happy that this project is done, and as a result, we already have better structured content in the MCP server. Because that was one of the issues I was trying to fix, is like having a dedicated serialization format for MCP tool calls, and previously it was kind of crappy, and now it's better. so hopefully the goal is achieved. Other than that,
anything else?
Other than that, we've been working on like I think I mentioned in the last episode that we had a goal of like redoing the theme support in Userlist, and like doing that in Q1. And we did some work, but we never shipped it. So we decided for this quarter to really double down. And as a result, we had I think we had two hour long calls with almost everyone in the company to spec out what we actually want to do, and what the constraints are, and what the potential problems are, and what users want, and what stuff comes up in customer support, and all those things. And we were going to have another one, probably yet again, a 2-hour call later today, to discuss it more and really get a good grasp on what it is we wanted to ship, because I feel like that is one of the issues that prevented us from shipping it, because the goal wasn't clear enough. So we've been dabbling, and we've been doing foundational stuff, which is still important because it unlocks all the other things. But still, when you then don't know where you want to go, it's still a little bit of a problem. So that's the stuff that has been going on in the past 2 weeks, and probably will keep me occupied for the next 2 weeks at least. But I think that the other thing we're going to talk about is stuff that happened last year.
I just wanted to say, though, what you kind of talked about there, where you spent like 2 hours on the call, you're going to do another 2 hours on the call to figure out like what what is it we're trying to solve, it's like such a clear case of where, the AI is not going to help you. We've talked
Right.
up AI a lot. Like, it can help you code, it can help you do this, and it could maybe even help you go through support tickets to figure out what users have been asking for.
Right.
But then in the end, you as a team have to figure out, like, where do we want to take this product? What do we want to maintain? What do we think people actually want behind what they're saying? And
Right.
all of those things. I just thought it was a really good example for like, yeah, anybody could just like AI up an emailing SaaS, which we all know
Right.
is not true. Did I send it to you? There's this like AI SaaS graveyard, some kind of tool where you can like put in your
Death by Claude.
Death by Claude, and I put in Userlist, and it was like almost died because you can just create a you can just ask Claude to send emails. I'm like, yes, no. It's one thing I've learned from you.
I mean,
and
maybe you
Alceta is
can,
that,
but
well, not
yeah.
if you're going to be doing campaigns and it's going to be high volume, and there's going to be, that's what I've at least learned from both you and the guys at Alceta. Like, email sending is not easy in bulk, or in like high as a service. It's a hard one. But I mean, if you have 10 customers and you just want to send some drip emails,
for sure. Then
your AI
I mean,
tool is going to do fine.
that's what we've been telling people all the time, right? Like, if you have just like emailing 10 people, then Userlist is probably overkill.
I mean, you can like BCC people at that point. You don't
Exactly. Yeah. Right.
you don't need any. So, because I'm actually on an email list of a musician, and they're gone full old school. It's just like a BCC thing with text, and I don't think they're even on social media. They're the new generation who are
Right.
totally offline. But yeah, but over to the topic of the day, which is that I'm scrolling LinkedIn as you do on vacation, and you just casually dropped that you almost quit Userlist last year.
Yeah, true. I'm not sure what made me decide to share this, but I guess, yeah, it's partly inspired by my post more on social media journey. This thought just came up that this might be an interesting story to share. And yeah, I mean, admittedly, it's a little bit of clickbait. Like, I don't think I was ever going to fully quit Userlist, but almost a year ago, I think it was in, I want to say June or something like that last year, I was really, really considering to take a longer break away from Userlist. And obviously I didn't. But yeah, it wasn't an easy decision. And before we talk about the details of that, I kind of want to talk a little bit about why I didn't talk about it on the podcast back then. Because in a way, this podcast is supposed to be, well, an honest peek into our lives, right? That's what we say in the intro. And sometimes it feels a little bit like it's not actually. I mean, sure, we try to be as open as possible, but stuff like that, like the really dicey stuff, I know it would be interesting radio, but I'm also not sure it's a good idea to share that stuff as I'm going through it, because it's messy, right? Like, I might change my mind about things from one day to the other, and then like putting out version A and then doing a backflip and then arguing for version B a week after is weird in itself, I guess. But what's most important in that whole thing is like, I was very careful about who I talk about. Who I talk to about this, right? That's the way to say it. Because at this point, we have a team, right? Like, we have people working for us that would be affected by this. We have customers that rely on us and leads that thinking about signing up for Userlist. And I'm not sure it's such a good idea to be like unsure in public about your future on anything, and like just like sowing uncertainty to the leads, to the customers, to the team. And that's why I usually not to talk about that stuff, at least not as it's happening. But again, it felt like a good, like now in
Just could
hindsight,
you
it felt
share
like a
it
good
now on
story.
LinkedIn and we could get it on the pod now? But I'm very, very no, just kidding. It's
Did I talk to you about this? I don't remember. I talked to a lot of people, but I'm not sure I talked to you about
I
this.
don't think we had a long talk about it, but I kind of remember now looking back that there was like something kind of off like just after the pod, but I don't think we talked about it like properly. I think it was more like,
Right.
oh, there's been some interest in doing some freelance work or something, but I don't remember everything either. And I totally understand with you having a team. Like I also found it harder to talk about some of the Outseta stuff because it's not only me, right? It's a team, and we're
Right.
discussing things internally, and I don't know what we're gonna talk about publicly or where we're want to go. I try to be honest about like the strategic decisions about where we want to go, but you don't want to be talking about especially other people or
Yeah.
things that can seed doubt. I've seen this myself. Like I bought some things lately, and then you see the person on Twitter being like doing totally different things, and you're like, hey, what about the thing I paid for?
Right.
And it can, so there's, and I've seen this in a lot of people where it's a lot of upside to being super honest and discussing everything in the beginning because you kind of get people invested in what you want to make. But then at some point, it's detrimental because you're at the size where a lot of the customers like are not that into the ups and downs. Like they just want a SaaS
Yeah. What
that
just
works, right? And
They
you
just
don't
want
want to,
something reliable, right?
they want something reliable, and they don't want the founder or the company to be super uncertain or yeah, or as you say, like you where do you want to go, and it can create uncertainty, especially now that you have more enterprise clients that are not in it to like be a part of the journey. So I totally understand, and I think it's fun that we can like look back because we've had this before. I think there was something else you were working on where we talked about it 6 months later, and I think that's fine because you've been able to digest it, and it's not going to make things uncertain. And had you stopped, I guess we would have talked about it after the decision was made. It would be like, oh, I only
Probably,
work
yeah.
20% at Userlist now, and like I work, and we're going to do that for 6 months, and then I'm going that we would have we can't be hiding.
Right. Some stuff
Hiding
is hard to hide, right? Like, I mean, in this case, it probably would have been easy to hide it, but still, whatever.
still. So I think that's totally fair. But we need to note some of these things down for the future. I'm loving this LinkedIn, Benedict. Like I'm learning things that we can speak about on the podcast.
Yeah. Maybe I should be the podcast Benedict first. And like, yeah, we should maybe talk about this on the podcast first, and then make whatever.
No,
It
no,
doesn't
no,
matter.
no, no, no. I think this
It
is a
doesn't matter.
good way to pick for me to scroll. Gives meaning to my scrolling.
I mean, what's funny about this is like this has been probably my most successful is a weird term in terms of like social media posts, but that's definitely the post with the most engagement and the most reactions I've ever written on LinkedIn for sure, maybe even on social media in general, which now makes me wonder like should I be doing should I be airing more dirty laundry? But I'm not
I
sure
think it's
that's a good
because
idea either.
I think it's because it's so relatable. If you are when you're in more closed communities, like this is the thing people talk about, right? Because at this
Right.
point, you were thinking about it because I don't know exactly, but what did you write? Like what you said in the post, like there were some reasons you were thinking about it at the point, at that point,
Right.
that I think people find very relatable because it's like, okay, my SaaS is doing good. It's not awesome. How long are we gonna continue with good? When do we know it's gonna be awesome? And also maybe like a little bit, I don't know if that was your case, but like a little bit boredom, like if you've done the same thing you're working on the same problem. It's like the serializer, again and again. And then it's like, oh, now there's issues with those emails providers or whatever. Like it's, and that's what
Right.
makes it really good. But at least personally, I get bored, which every listener of this show has realized. But you're better at sticking it out. But I think, it had been a couple of years because you're in year what with Userlist now?
Year 9, eight or
Exactly.
9. Yeah, we started
Yeah.
2017, end of 17, so it's I guess year 8. I don't
Yeah.
know, but
Okay,
maybe
so talk us through some of
to
your thinking because you had good notes
exactly,
here.
maybe let's maybe talk about what actually happened for those who didn't see the LinkedIn post. So about a year ago, like, well, almost exactly a year ago, beginning of 2025, or like the first 2 quarters have been pretty tough on us in terms of cancellations. Not that like a lot of people were fleeing us in masses, but unfortunately, I think 3 or 4 of our largest customers at that time decided to churn or like to cancel for different reasons. Like very early in the year, there was one customer who I think they got acquired and consolidated their emails into one tool for the entire enterprise or whatever. And unfortunately, Userlist wasn't the one they picked. So they churned. What was good in that sense was that they were the ones who were hammering our system the most with like just tons and tons of updates to the database and the weirdest segments and the weirdest queries. So when they churned, I was able to, I think, delete almost half of our events table, and the load dropped significantly. So in the end, I was able to downgrade our database to a cheaper plan. So I feel like in the end, it kind of zeroed out. Like, yes, the revenue was gone, but also the expenses were gone. And they, weirdly enough, were almost exactly the same. So, yeah, bummer, but wasn't too bad. But then the other 2 that I remember, like one of them was I think at the time, really paying us the most money. And they had been with us for a couple of years. They have been on an annual plan, and that means they basically pay us once a year, and it's always like a big chunk of money. Like it was always 5 figures. 5 figures every month, every year, and they've been they grow, or I guess they still grow, but using Userlist, they usually almost doubled their user count from year to year. But it also meant that their invoice was higher than the last year before. And we had this experience in years prior where it was always a big, but why is it so much more than last year? And last year it was just that, and that's what we budgeted for, and now it's this, and why? And we're like, yep, what, like your user base doubled, like you're sending more email. Like, is it supposed to be, why can't it be more expensive? So it has always been a little bit of a struggle. And earlier this year, early in 2025, that came up again. And then they basically decided it's too expensive for them. They also wanted to do more like multi-channel stuff with SMS. And I think they were talking about WhatsApp and stuff like that. And because they were also not our ideal customer profile, like they didn't quite match, like they weren't technically a SaaS. It was more like a B2C play. And I guess some of the features they asked for made sense for them, but not necessarily for everyone else we were serving. So we decided to be like, yeah, no, unfortunately, we're not going to build this for you. And that meant that they decided to switch to someone else. Which was a bummer. Like it was a big chunk of money that we were banking on to arrive in February or so, and then that didn't happen. They switched to monthly for a couple more months to prepare for the migration, which meant that our MRR was a little bit higher because they didn't get the annual discount and stuff like that. But ultimately, we knew that they were going to leave. And then on top of that, another one of our bigger customers, I think they were just shutting down the business. You can't argue with that, sure, right? So, yeah, anyways.
Stuff happens.
3 of our biggest customers left. I want to say not because of our fault necessarily. I mean, you could argue a little bit with like, sure, maybe if we were the most amazing platform, maybe they would have consolidated all their tools into Userlist. They didn't for whatever reason, and the other customer just wasn't a good fit. But had we built those features, maybe they would have stayed. It is what it is. All in all, this meant that our MRR dropped by 15% or so, which is a big chunk. Like at the point where we are at, like back then, we were basically break even, maybe a little bit in the green, like making some profits on that. But that 15% drop meant that we were suddenly not profitable anymore. And unfortunately, that meant I mean, good thing that we kind of knew in advance that this was going to happen with that one customer who then paid monthly for a while. So we had a chance to prep for it. And one of the things we did is we cut our pay. Like Jane and I, we pay ourselves, obviously, from the company. And we reduced that by quite a bit. So we're still okay. Like we can still pay rent and everything, but it's not like we're getting filthy rich in the process. So we reduced that. We unfortunately had to let a team member go because it just didn't make sense to have those expenses on top of that as well. And was there something else we did? No, I think that's it. Yeah. So all in all, we managed to get expenses to a level that would kind of match the MRR. So we were like still break even and coasting along, which was good because otherwise I think I would have been even more stressed out. But at least we knew like this, we could survive for a little while and we had some money in the bank, which helped as well. So yeah, we were coasting for a while. And unfortunately, even after 9 years of doing this, or like, I mean, I've been self-employed for, I don't know how long. I stopped counting, 15 years, something like that, 16 years. I don't remember, whatever. Unfortunately, to this day, my mood is still tied to MRR growth rate or like revenue growth.
Oh my God. We've been talking about doing like, how do we feel coupled to like seasons? It would be so fun to do like your MR. We wouldn't need to like do the exact amounts, but just like do the graph and then
is
do
it
Benedict's
growing
emotions.
or is it, exactly. Like that's exactly why I'm like, we should be doing this at some point. Because like intellectually, I know that the stuff goes through phases. There's ups and there's downs. Like, I don't know. Like, and it's just a number, right? Like, it's an important number, admittedly, but like, it's just a number. And especially once you're like at sort of break even, maybe even profitable, it starts to matter less and less. But weirdly enough, and I've talked to a couple, like I feel like
it's not
probably
weird.
no one is immune to this. And I want to say that it's not as bad as it was, but still, like my mood, I'm not in a good mood if things are not growing or even declining. And I can tell that, and it sounds weird, but like when MRR is going down, I'm anxious. I'm more easily irritated. I'm more easily frustrated by stuff, and I notice it in my own reaction to a bug coming in or like an error notification or stuff like that. It like when MRR is going down and stuff like that happens, it feels like everyone's pounding down on you, right? Like sometimes like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's just me. I'm just going to walk, right? And so there was that aspect of it. And then my wife and I were, I mean, we still are like, we're thinking about like either buying a house, buying a little bit of land to build something and just like have our own property. And at the time, there was a listing for, I want to say one of the most, I mean, it sounds weird, but like one of the most amazing like plots, like close to the town she works in, close to the public transport, decently sized, like nice neighborhood, everything. Like it was really good. And, but it was like on the expensive side of things. Like it was like $500,000 or something like that, or close to $500,000, just like, just for a piece of land, right? Like nothing built on it. And we were looking at this and we were like, like it's expensive, but it's really nice. And after a couple of days, we were like, okay, let's like screw it. Let's just reach out to them, say we're interested and stuff like that. But turns out, even like 3 days after we saw the posting, it was gone. Right, like we were just too slow, and I'm sure things would have been different if we just had more money in the bank. Like, if you're like,
life would generally be different if you had more money in the bank.
Exactly, right? Like, it was one of those things where could we afford it? Maybe, but it was like it gave us some pause for a couple of days, and seeing that plus knowing that like I just cut my pay and stuff like, I was like, well, screw this. Like, I need to figure out how to make more money. And like in the past, my go-to plan B sort of was always to be like, should Userlist not work out, and it doesn't look like that's the case, like it's fine, but like should it not work out, I can always go back to either do consulting again, get a full-time job somewhere, or maybe if I'm super lucky or whatever, start a new company and do something else, right? But how, like, with how things has been going over the last 2-3 years in the IT industry and software industry in general, and, well, I guess world economy in general, is like there's more layoffs, mass layoffs, everyone's struggling, stuff's moving slow. I wasn't quite sure if that was still an option. Like, you're sitting there and it's like wondering, I have a plan B, but is that plan B even realistic? Like, can I even?
Yeah, I'm thinking the same. It's like, am I employable at this point in like a regular, typical
Yeah, exactly.
Norwegian developer job? Like, would they want somebody who, wants more agency?
Right. Like, I mean, sure, like if I can get a consulting gig and like just, I mean, I'm used to doing that. Well, at this point, maybe I'm not used to doing this anymore, but like I've done this before. I've been on my own, working for different customers and like selling time for money. I can do this. I know I can do this, but like, are people still willing to pay? Right. Like, and I'm also at a stage where I'm like, I'm not cheap, right? Like, if I do consulting, I'm not going to do it like for 50 euros an hour or something like that. It's going to, and also at that point, it doesn't achieve the goal of like making more money, right? Like, so that was stuff that was going on in
It
my
would have to be
mind.
high ticketing consulting, like where
High
you
ticket consulting, or like,
where you actually consult and don't like do
exactly,
things. You consult and people pay you a shit ton of money to do that.
exactly. Or I mean, or even as an individual contributor, but like in a senior position or something like that. And again, like, wasn't sure if that was going to happen. But before I even started evaluating that, like maybe looking for something popped up in my network. Like, I think it was on Mastodon. Someone, I think we have never worked with each other, but I knew the guy. He knew me. We had worked at the same company at different times, so he knew my code, I guess. And he was like, I'm looking for someone to help on consulting project A or B. Anyone interested? And I was like, let's just talk, right? Like, I mean, let's see what happens. And we got on a call. It was a fun call. Like, I think there was mutual respect. Like I knew that he was doing good work, and I guess he knew I was at least trying to do good work. So there was a fit. And the pay was also good. Like, it wasn't quite what I asked for, but it was still really good, and it was way more than what Userlist is paying us before and now, like, ever, basically. It was really good money, and it was an interesting project, or like two interesting projects. One was with like former colleagues, or the other one was with in like green energy sector industry, like solar panels, batteries, I don't know, stuff like that. Sounded like a fun project in an industry that's kind of interesting. But the problem was, and I guess rightfully, he wasn't quite comfortable with hiring me on a part-time basis, because he was like, I have deadlines to meet. This is a project that needs to get done. There's tons of work. I don't. We can't afford hiring someone who's then only like doing, I don't know, half time or like even less. And he was like, "Yeah, you either do this full time or close to full time, or it doesn't really make sense." And I get that. I think I would have been the same. And yeah, that's where my conflict started because I honestly wasn't sure what to do. Like on the one side, it was good, like it was super good money, like way more than we'd be paying us from Userlist for the foreseeable future. It would also allow me to like lower the stress on the company's finances, like Userlist finances. Like if I just step away for a while, I'd be paid less or maybe even nothing. So that would be good for the bank account and profitability. Yeah, that was basically the conflict I was in. And I started talking to people because like that's usually what I do. Like I try to make my own decisions. Like I try to not get super influenced by outside perspectives because I feel like that's an easy trap to fall into as well. Like just ask people for advice and then take on their advice pretending it is yours or like take on
Or
their
have somebody to
decision.
blame.
Yeah, and then have
like
somebody
they
to blame.
advise. Yeah.
Like you said I should do this and it was a bad idea, so therefore you are to blame. I don't want to do this, right? So I still want to make my own decision. But usually it helps to talk through stuff, like ask people for opinions, ask for their thoughts, and try to make up your mind based on that, right? Without relying too much on them, I guess.
But I also find just saying it out loud makes you it's easier to get that gut reaction to your own possible decisions saying it out loud, or maybe even writing it. But I think even more saying it, like if you go to a trusted friend and you're like, okay, I'm thinking about taking like a 12-month break from Userlist, it, like when you say it, like your body, like your gut like reaction will be stronger than just thinking about it.
Right.
Like thinking about a decision, like at least I don't get a very strong kind of like gut reaction. And I think at the age and experience we're at, like that actually is something we should listen to. So it helps in that regard. If it's somebody you trust and kind of doesn't have like a lot of skin in the game in a way, because otherwise you might be reacting to them like having bad feelings around it. But that's why it's good to have, some people who are further away and who aren't impacted by your decision necessarily as much weigh in as well, because like your partner in business and your partner in life are going to have their side of their stake in the thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I talked to a lot of people. As I said, like I'm not sure. Don't think we specifically talked about this in detail, but like whatever. No, I hope you don't take offense.
Not offended at all.
Anyways, I talked to a couple of friends. I talked to my wife, and I talked to Jane, my co-founder at Userlist, and all of them said, "Do it. Like, take a break, focus on the consulting gig, make some good money. The company will still be around afterwards, right?" And I think we were talking about like 3 to 6 months or so of being away.
And your ownership stake would still be there.
Ownership stake would still be there. Maybe a little bit of pay in that time, maybe not. Like we never got that far into discussion, but like, yeah. Anyways, a lot of people were telling me, yeah, do this. This might be a good way to get some new experiences, make some good money, take a break, take a breather, get inspired even, right? Like, I mean, if once you've been working on the same thing for like 9 years, it also gets boring in a way, right? Like, and you kind of also maybe lose touch with other things that are out there, and like maybe see some new code that you didn't write yourself and learn something new. So there were good arguments to doing this, and I'm still super humbled and grateful that even my co-founder was like, even Jane was like, yeah, you should do this. Like, this sounds like a good opportunity. Why pass it on? why pass on it? And there was, like as I said, like everyone was supportive of the idea, except for a couple, like two people. They are married, a married couple running their company together. I think you met them in Lisbon, right? Like Christian and Pia. I was visiting them because they're a customer and basically helping them onboard. And then at the end of the day, I was like, "Hey, I have something I want to talk to you about." Like, I think I even told them before. I was like, "Heads up, this might be a longer evening because I have a topic I want to discuss with you." And those two were the only ones who were like, "No, you shouldn't do this. Like, you should stay focused on the company." And I don't want to say like don't want to say I took their advice and like ran with it, and no, can't blame them. Don't think that's quite what happened, but like they had some good arguments. One of them was like, for every new customer that you get, like it's not only like new customer for Userlist, right? Like if you double down, get new customers for Userlist, that not only increases MRR, which helps this company survive, but it also builds your net worth, right? Like the company's value goes up. Like with every new customer, let's say 1,000 MRR customer that you get, that's 12,000 ARR. And then not sure what the current valuations are, but like SaaS valuations, like, I don't know, 3 to 4x MRR or something like that. So that's like $36,000 to $48,000 worth added to the company. And then, sure, I don't know, I don't own 100%, so I think I own about a third, a little bit more. But still, like you grow this one thing a little bit, but the leverage on your net worth is quite significant. And if you start thinking about it like that, then sure, consulting gets you quick money, and maybe even short term the same amount. But this is a long term thing, right? And it compounds, so it kind of makes sense to focus on the product and grow the product rather than doing something else for the quick money, right? And
I totally agree. When you have the patience, like you have, like it's because this is like you could either invest money and it's similar, like, but
right,
it's a bet, or like you are doing, where you have the work you put in will actually help grow the value of the company. And I think the space that you are in, it is a sellable company, like an email tool that has a good MRR or ARR is a sellable company, and there are buyers for that kind of SaaS. Like it's not a hypothetical; it actually exists. So the more you can grow it before selling it off, the more money you get, and that is
right,
a lot more than you would ever get like trading time for money or like trading hands-on work for money. Like you get a lot of money right now, but there is a ceiling, and you hit that ceiling pretty fast, and it's a good living.
there's
You know,
only so much work you can put in, right? Like there's
but there's only
yeah,
so much work, and also the better you get, as we talked about, like the more senior you get, you're just getting, well, things are changing now with AI and stuff, but before, like, you're getting better and you're doing more in less time, and you're not getting that much more
right, yeah,
paid for it. You could maybe go to California, get one of those like kick-ass tech jobs in the States where you get 4 times as much as you would get in Europe, and you could do that for a couple of years, and then you could invest that money. That's the way to do it. Like you could, if you're disciplined, you could do your consulting work and then invest your money in other places, and that's a way to grow your
right.
net worth if you don't have the stamina for what you're doing. And you've shown you have the stamina, but you're allowed to doubt and like
Oh, that's
have.
nice of you.
But I also think it's hard because that's one of the things that I think I also took away a little bit, like going to MicroConf, which they attributed to you, that you got demotivated. And you were like, we're both called Benedicte, or Benedicte. Is that it is hard work, and it is hard to keep the eye on the ball that there's a value in the company, right? Because
Right,
it's such an
yeah,
abstract number, but it's not really that abstract if you start looking into what is happening in like these companies buying up multiple implemented SaaSes and running them in these like groups. And so I think it's less abstract than we think, but it just, since you're not like getting that money right now, it's very, so maybe, maybe next to your MRR, you should have like in your own little spreadsheet,
Right.
have
Track.
what is my track your net worth, like how much ownership do I have here, and then have the lowest to the highest, so that you're looking. But I mean, it's going to go down when the MRR goes down, but it's not going to go down as much in a way. Like you're still going to have a substantial chunk of ownership in this company,
Right. Yeah.
so that you can see that, okay, yes, MRR is down 15%, but that doesn't mean I will never be able to buy a plot of land, because my it's still a substantial. Because I think, and if everybody talks about personal finance and investing in index funds, they're like, do not look, like look once a year.
Yeah. Maybe
If
look
you keep
once a year.
looking, you're gonna get so like you're gonna be affected, and you're gonna want to sell, right? Because it's like, oh, it's down, and then you sell, but then it goes up, and you buy at the wrong time, and like the whole point is to set it and forget it. And some people even say like have it in a different bank account, so that you have to log in and are in a different bank. So you have to log in and like you have to jump through hoops to actually see this number, and I think there is some truth to that. And just myself, even though it hasn't been tied to MRR, like when I have money in the bank, like my mood is better.
I mean, ultimately, bank account growing versus declining, yes, that's basically the same idea, right? Like, once it's steady or going up, things are nicer. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm more like a little bit YOLO. So then I use it, and then it goes down.
Obviously, right? Yeah.
Obviously, no, but it's money can't buy you happiness, but it can definitely buy a peace of mind, which gives you a better outlook on life, at least for me. So yeah, but so you decided to stay.
Yes, I think it took like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and I know, like I vividly remember that I've been, yes, let's do A, or yes, let's do B multiple times. Like I thought I had made up my mind multiple times in this. But eventually I made the deliberate choice to double down on Userlist, to stay focused on Userlist and not take on any side gig on consulting or anything like that. And in the end, like the net worth discussion was one aspect of this, obviously. But I think what was more important was trying to put myself in the shoes of the team, and especially Jane as my co-founder. And it was like trying to figure out what it would feel like and what it would be like if roles were switched. And I mean, who knows? Like, what if? We'll never know. But I have a feeling that if I were in Jane's shoes and she would be just gone for like 6 months and expecting me to just keep going, sure, like I don't think I would like ruin the company in that time, but would I be as motivated to like put in the effort and show up every day and work hard to grow this thing, to get new customers, to make it a better product, to make it stay, like, I don't know, like, would I be willing to put in the same amount of effort I'm putting in today, knowing that it's a team effort and we're in this together, if that wasn't the case? Like, if one of us was like fooling around elsewhere, making good money elsewhere, and I'm sitting here with this thing that needs, like, with this rock that needs pushing up the hill, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't, like, I can see myself slacking off and maybe, yes, sure, showing up, keeping the lights on, but I'm pretty sure that, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's maybe an exaggeration, but I think if I would have gone away for 6 months or so, I think the company would be, best case, in the same place as before, MRR wise and overall stability and everything, or probably even worse. Like, I don't think with just one of us like pushing up the rock up the hill, I don't think stuff would have improved, right? Like, I don't think it would have grown. I don't think it would have gotten better. So yeah, there's that aspect. It felt like a bad idea to leave her alone with this. Like, not that I don't trust her, but like, I hope you get what I'm trying to say. It's like,
Oh yeah, and I know that you lean a lot on each other to get through. Like, you might be down a little time, for a while, and she
yeah,
might be down
exactly,
for a while, and then you that's why you have a co-founder, and you can like lean on
exactly,
each other. But I was gonna say, I think like why she understood, and like your wife and a lot of people understood, is that I think the people who are close to us like see. I don't know if you're like this, but like they hear more about my struggle, right? It's because those are the people you complain to,
right,
and maybe they don't hear about all the good things always, because it's harder to kind of convey. When you're happy doing your work, you're just like coding away and you're happy, and then when you're not, you're like, oh, it's never going to go anywhere, and blah 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 blah. So they're going to be
right,
more. They're going to be more like you take that time, you need that, like, yes, relax or whatever, and or they're more attuned to kind of that personal need. But I think what you found with Pia and Christian is that they are outside and they can look at the company and they can look at their life like a little bit more objectively. They haven't
right,
heard the complaining necessarily, or the toll that it's taking on you personally, or what other people feel like it's taking on their personal, and they can say like this is our take on a business decision, and then you have to bring your whatever personal. If you were like dreading getting up every day for 6 months, like,
yeah,
do not continue this job or like
right,
this company, uh, even if it's going to grow your net worth, because it's not, or at least I don't think it's worth it to like have a crappy life
right,
for a payout 10 years down the road. Like, Ula's dad died at 59 and my mom died at 67. So it's like, I'm not never going to make that decision. But if it's like, oh, it's a little bit up and down, and I'm having, a couple of days here where MRR is down and it's winter and
right,
blah blah
right,
blah,
right,
then
right, yeah,
it's good that somebody can remind you that yes, but this is the business case, and we
right,
can look at the business case, and then we can think about the personal side. But I think the people closest to us look more on the, like, I've seen you've been down, or like I've heard your complaint, or and then you just have, like, I have, these were not, but for me, I have neighbors and good friends who, whenever I complain about anything, it's, why don't you just get a regular job?
and
It's
then
like,
you're immediately
no.
like, no, why? I never.
No. It's like, I should also be allowed to complain about like things in my life, without the solution having to be get a typical life,
Right,
because there's so many upsides, and just me having a bad week doesn't mean a normal job would be the solution. But that's their go-to, because that's their life, and I think it's hard, for them, to understand, like, wanting to live in the uncertainty that I do, because I'm more like in the consulting fractional, I don't know what I'm going to call myself these days, but it's project based, I guess.
right,
And I don't know what, like, in 6 months, I guess for we now we have 3 years of funding part time, or like more than 50, maybe like 60%. But still, what am I gonna do then? Like, who knows?
right, yeah, 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 yeah. We kind of doing this because we enjoy. I don't want to say we enjoy the uncertainty, but I guess we're sort of okay with the uncertainty and know things we'll figure things out, and we kind of like the challenge of like having to figure things out. And I'm sure, like what you just said, with like, if I would wake up every morning and dreading my life and like having to drag myself to the desk and work, if that would have been the case, I think, yeah, there's a good chance I would have decided to do the consulting gig.
Yeah,
But
start with a break and then never going
that
back.
right, exactly. Yeah, that I don't think I mentioned this, but like this was one of the other concerns I had of like, what if I do this and like it so much that I'm not coming back, right? Like,
Well,
what if
that
those
then
what
I
if
should
those
use.
six
Then you should
months
try.
what if those 6 months turn into 2 years and I don't know, I am just gone forever. That was one of the worries I had as well. I don't know, like who knows, right? And maybe it would have been a better future for everyone. We'll never know,
But
I
this is
guess.
like the hard part of life, isn't it? You can't live
Yeah.
multiple
No,
lives,
there's
and
always
you
the
will
what if, right?
always. Yeah, and I think this is like an age-old thing. I'm pretty sure you can go back and like read books that are, or just even tales way back when about what
Right.
if, what if,
Right.
no. I done something completely different in multiple of decisions, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
It is what it is. Like, as I said, the what ifs is still there from time to time. Like, I'm still like, what if I had done this? But to come to a conclusion, I think in hindsight it was the right call because we doubled down. Like both Jane and I doubled down, and we put up some new routines, doubled down on sales, put in more effort. Like, I even got more motivated from this. Like, it sounds weird in a way, but like making the conscious decision to this is my priority gave me more energy and allowed me to push through that little dip in MRR, I guess. And now, like almost a year later, I just checked the numbers. Like, we're not quite at the peak we were like a year ago with like the annual churning into monthly and stuff like that. But we're pretty close. Like we basically made up the dip. And in the meantime, we launched a redesign. We did the rebranding with a new logo and the new visuals, and we shipped so much cool stuff. And the product is so much nicer compared to a year ago. Like, if I'm like looking back at the screenshots from like a year ago, I'm like, what? Like, what? Like, that was was it a crappy product? Not sure, but like the product right now, I'm super proud of. Like, it's a really good product. We really put in the work and the effort and the love, and I'm just happy that it's growing again and that I didn't quit it. So,
But I think it's very true what you said about making an active decision, because I do think if you feel like you're just stuck, that is, at least for me, it's like super unmotivating if I feel like I don't have the option of doing anything else. And you were feeling that because like the industry was going down, and you're like, where's my plan B? And, and then you got an opportunity, and then you made a conscious decision to turn it down. And I've been talking to Lillian about decisions now, where I read this in a really bad, like motivational book, but like this stuck with me. And that is that decisions are either like a hat, haircut, or tattoo decision. And she took she caught on right away. It's like, because a hat you can just change. A haircut takes a little bit longer, but you can change your mind. A tattoo, so much harder to turn around.
Getting easy as well, though, right? Like,
yeah. And this decision is like, it is a haircut decision, because you can at any point put yourself out onto the market again. And more opportunities will come your way, and you will have to make these decisions. But it shows you that there are other paths, and it seemed for you too, like knowing that there are other paths make it easier to stay on the path, because then you're like, okay, I have options, but I choose this thing, and I keep on actively choosing this thing, and that helps
for sure
with motivation.
I think in hindsight, it was a good thing to explore this, because as you said, like, it gave me the reassurance that the plan B is still sort of working, right? Like, it's still an option. And sure, like, when it comes to it, you never know what reality is at that very moment. But like, there's a way outside of Userlist, but Userlist is I'm still pumped to do this, and I'm still in it, and the team is still in it. And yeah, let's see. Maybe I regret it sometime down the road, but like, for now, I'm not.
We'll see. I think you'll be. I think you're gonna. I have faith in Userlist.
Thank you. Yeah, I have faith in Userlist too. I like where things are going. I'm sure there's always uncertainty, but as we just discussed, like, we're in it for the uncertainty to a certain degree, right? So, yeah. Anyways,
well, let's wrap it up.
Yep, that has been a long episode in a while. Like, we haven't done an episode like this for ages.
We'll see you around the interwebs, and especially in the Benedict's post comments or replies.
Yep, see you on social media. I'm showing up at least 3 times a week. Have a good one. See you.